I'm gonna drop a couple bombs on the FD channel right now.
Who you rolling with?
I am rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
Let's do it. Let's go.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
We are rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
Oh, you know we rolling with FD, baby.
We got alphas and bros in the house.
That's right.
Peace out, my brother.
Woo!
I'm rolling with the F, the D.
Learn something new every day when you're rolling with FD.
Yeah, we are rolling with FD, baby.
I roll with one person, and that's FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
You gotta love it, man.
This is a family thing.
That's good. That's good, man.
Hey, Renee, who you rolling with?
Rolling with FD.
Rolling with FD.
You don't have to ask. I'm rolling with FD.
My man. But see, Bless, who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
That's how you just rolling, right? That's the whole thing, right? You roll with it.
You gotta let me know who you rolling with.
We're rolling with FD. You heard it first.
I'm rolling with FD.
I am rolling with FD.
I'm not just a pretty face, Ziggy. JD, we should both do it.
No, I'm doing that.
What questions do you have for me? Right, Manny and Jeremy, who you rolling with?
We're rolling with FD. We don't want to get our asses kicked.
You gotta let the people know who you rolling with, man.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
Hello, hello. I cannot hear you for some reason. Oh man, I was just talking about how I was watching your stuff and there was a technical difficulty. I can. We're live, aren't we?
Yeah, we're live. Don't worry about it. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I'm full screen. I apologize for that technical difficulty.
Oh, you're good, Denny. But you can hear me clearly right now?
I can hear you clearly. I hope my audio is coming in all right for you.
Yeah, you're good to go. You're good to go. Big John, can you hear me now? Big John says, can't hear you. Can you hear me now, Big John? Better. Yeah, we rolling. Okay. All right, we're good to go. Zerny, what's up? What's up, fam? No volume. It could be on my end, man, because this microphone, when you tap it, it wants to, turns it off. So I just want to make sure that we're good. We're good though, Denny. We're chill here.
Awesome.
This is nothing, we're
tapping with FD.
Yeah, we're here to have fun, talk to hobby. Zerny said, oh, now on both hands, we're good. So, Denny, tell me something more about yourself. Tell me, how did you come up with the name Denny Cards? How long have you been collecting? What did you start collecting? We hit you with a few questions. You could turn it into a little, opening, elevator pitch. And then, why content?
Wow. Okay. So hopefully this will be a really slow elevator ride because I can get long.
We got 99 floors. We got 99 floors. Now,
99 floors.
We're in the Willis Tower in Chicago, and we got 99 floors.
Awesome. So yeah, no. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I feel like I've been the host for my own podcast for several weeks now, and I'm glad to finally be in the guest spot where I can kind of like not have notes in front of me and taking down minutes for clips and all that stuff. So I'm really excited to just kind of like chat and just have a great time tonight. So having said that, Denny Cards, that's my nickname is Denny. My last name is not Cards, but this is my hobby persona. Denny Cards is what is the person who isn't punching in 9 to 5. I'm not a hobby industry insider. I don't work in the hobby in any capacity. I like to have fun. This is the space where I get to let loose and have a good time. And so when it comes to the Instagram account, like I I had no clue what I was doing when I first started. You know, I had no plan. Like a lot of people, you just have some cards you want to show them off. So I turned 40 last September, and so when I did, I just started to have this. You know, initially it really was a joke. Like I was telling my wife, "Oh, isn't this so funny? Like other guys have midlife crisis with sports cars, and you know, I'm having a sports cards midlife crisis." And then and then I realized the more money I was spending, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this actually is my midlife crisis." But it really allows me to kind of tap into or like think back to when I was young. And you know, I grew up, my family, we didn't have a lot of money. We were immigrants in America, and I just started chasing cards that I couldn't afford, that I kind of like vaguely remembered, or I was like, man, I think I saw that in a Beckett, you know, magazine. And so I just went after those cards. And as you can see from my background and my Instagram profile pic, you know, I mainly go after 90s basketball cards, and you know, NBA Jam was my jam. I mean, that, you know, quarters in the bodega in New York City and Queens. You know, even this hat, I'm not a Vancouver Grizzlies fan, but when it comes to the 90s, you know, the Raptors are still around, the Grizzlies
Big
aren't.
Country. Right? You remember Big Country?
Big Country, of course.
Yeah,
Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Big Country, Bryant Reeves.
Sharif was a player. Yeah.
Oh man, big man, big man. Big Country, big man, absolutely. So that's what you know, that's what this hat represents. It's not that I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan. It's not that I'm a huge Sharif Abdul-Rahim fan. It's just that, you know, this represents 90s basketball to me. So so that's me. I mean, I'm all about just having fun. And why content, man? I really, like a lot of people, I just started taking pictures of my cards, and then I thought, this is okay, but I want to have fun. And what really happened is I started getting inspired by content creators and saying, "Oh man, like that looks fun. I want to give that a shot, or I want to try that." So, you know, the whole premise of my podcast is just try things, just see what you like, see what you don't like.
I like
So
that.
yeah, so when I started making content more than just like cards, I was just like, okay, you know, I like this type of format, this type not so much. And like the podcast, same thing. Like I was like, let me just try it. And when I started doing it, I was like, man, I love this. This is so much fun. Like no one, I can just talk and no one's gonna interrupt me. Like that's awesome. So so I just started doing it. And so content, I really am inspired by creators in the space who are here, and I'm just learning all the time. I'm just consuming, I'm producing, I'm consuming, I'm producing. That's just the way that I see it.
Very good. Very good. Army ATC, great person I met in Virginia. To me, a great person in the hobby. He writes here, and we're rolling. Everyone's journey is different. Always do what you like and love. I think that should be the foundation. I talk to a lot of people, and that's kind of a consensus that should be the foundation. A lot of times, something else becomes the foundation. But maybe I'm a purist. I don't know. I don't know what the term would be for it. But that's just how I came into the hobby, collecting what you like. There was some kids that didn't like Jordan, so they would trade other stuff to get their Jordans, and everybody walked away happy. Nobody was upset or had an issue. And I always think too that when you're in a hobby, I don't care what it is, because there are many hobbies out here. It should be your. I would think, and I don't define these things. It's just because I don't police the hobby, but to me, it's what I think a hobby is. What the definition of it is something that you enjoy to do outside of your normal to-dos. So I'm here to have fun. Like I'm here to collect what I like, talk to other people, get ideas, learn. I can be at a show. I've been at many shows where I can talk to an 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old. And I see people that are advanced beyond where I was at that age, talking about things in a particular way with data in their hands, and being themselves. Like I feel like I don't run up on a child being someone else. He's doing or she's doing what she does. They can clearly tell you when you ask them why you collect XYZ person. They can tell you why, and with confidence, and they're good. Then they're proud of saying what they're saying. And why can't we all be like that?
Oh my goodness. I gotta say, can I just add to that? The confidence that I see in some of these kids is just absolutely amazing. And I love it, right? I mean, I'm a father of 2 young boys. And when I hear these stories of, usually my son is so quiet in school, but like when he starts talking about Pokemon cards, he gets so excited and he gets, like he just comes out of his shell. Like you hear that a lot, whether it's Pokemon or sports cards. And I have seen the growth in my kids with their love of cardboard as well. Maybe more my older son than my younger son. My younger son's 8, my older son is 10, and I don't put them in my content, but I do talk about them quite a bit because that's the biggest hat that I wear is the dad hat. So when it comes to the confidence, it's amazing to see because I remember when I was a kid, like I started collecting when I was 10 years old, which is the same age as my oldest right now. Man, like these adults in the hobby, I just remember that just they were almost like, they were like, deities. They were like figures where you were just like, whatever they said went, right? And it's almost like, I was told to like respect my elders and authorities, so authority figures. And I just remembered like feeling like they held so much weight in their words or their actions, or like they were like the gatekeepers of the wax behind them on the shelves. But they were like really big. And what I realize is they're just people. And as I grew up as grown up within the hobby, or outside of the hobby, I'm just like, we're all people that
Yes.
they can seem like they're super confident and like they have everything and they know everything, but they're now that I'm a parent and now that I'm an adult, I'm like, man, I bet they were just so stressed out trying to figure out how they were going to make rent that month, right, as a card shop.
That's
And
right.
that when 10 kids ran in, that they were afraid of getting some merchandise stolen, right? Like as a kid, I didn't think about that stuff, but now as a parent or as an adult, you kind of get more like, uh, more maybe anxious or nervous about things like that. But, I just realized like, when I went to a local card show, and I actually said this in my most recent episode, where this crusty old white dude was this card shop owner, and he was just being such a jerk to me and my father-in-law. And I was like, you know what? Like as a kid, I never would have said anything. I would have been so like, oh, something's wrong with me, and like, oh, I'm the person invading his space, and that I just gotta like walk out of that card shop with my tail between my legs. But I was like, no, like, you're supposed to be, I'm a customer, I'm a paying customer. I actually even spent money in his store, and he was getting upset that we weren't buying his, overpriced singles. And I was just like, yeah, like I'll take it myself. But once you go after like my father-in-law, who's like the nicest man in the world, like I'm not having any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I completely understand. Well, that kicks off. I mean, when I was younger, you would go into a shop, and some shops are excellent customer service. How you doing? How may I help you? What are you looking for? Some shops would act like they had to define what sports cards were to you and tell you. They had to educate you. You couldn't know. They had to educate you. You got to educate and let them know what the deal is. And I've always been the kind of person ever since I was really young. I don't do anything without finding out what I'm doing on many different levels of life. It's not just the hobby itself. It could be anything under the sun that I gain an interest in. I'm going to get down to what I call the gnat's ass of what's going on there, Denny. And not act like I know, but actually put some work in and actually try to know and then make decisions based upon that. And it's the same way with the content that I make for Rolling with FD. There are things that I think when I look at certain athletes, so I do my research on them, not just look at them. When I do my research on them, there are certain things of certain athletes that I'm like, wonder why everybody's so hyped on this person when they've done nothing. Like, but people are really hyped. And then I make my own decisions. And sometimes I read in the comments, which I always like to read in comments because it sometimes it brings some levity to every situation. When you read and people start telling you absolutes, I always like in life. This is what I've learned in age. And first of all, we got Gabe T in here. Don't want to lose your comment, Gabe. What's up? Good to have you here. there seems to be people who speak in absolutes. You know, you can only do this, you can only do that, and that's not really how life works. Doesn't work like that at all. Somebody could think that that's the only way to go, but there are actually 360 degrees in which you can rotate in, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so much nuance, and I feel like I don't know if it's like a social media thing, but it's almost like we live in the world, and maybe it's not even the social media, but it's like the talking heads on television where everything's got to be a hot take and everything's got to be so like, so out there, or like you said, like an absolute statement. And the life is about the gray area, and just everything that we do, there's nuance to it. But maybe when you're limited to 140 characters in a tweet, you just feel like you got to say something real basic and strong, like it's a hot take. But
I guess.
it's like we wouldn't talk like that. I mean, maybe some people do talk like that in life, and I know sometimes I say things like that, but that there's nuances. And when you have a relationship with someone and you can actually have two-way communication, you realize that the absolutes and the things that are coming out of your mouth aren't actually true. I mean, I think it was Nietzsche Frank. Oh my gosh, this is too old. I should not even set the name. The philosopher, German philosopher, that there are no absolutes. Man, it's been a while since I've been in school. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, I believe that as I've
Nietzsche
seen more life in Nietzsche, as I've seen more life, there seems to be no absolutes.
Right.
No matter how much you want to hold on to them.
Can I actually talk a little bit about that concept?
You
when
talk
you're
about
like,
whatever you like, sir.
So thank you so much, FD. Man, I'm so excited when you asked me to be here, and I was like, man, let's do this. I'm so ready. When I see these shop owners from my past and current times too, and these dealers at shows, and when I was a kid, I never thought I would have like dealt in a show, and that's why I wanted to just give it a shot. But when I see some of these dealers at shows where it's not even an age thing, but it does tend to be some of the older people, but it's like they're there, but they don't want to actually serve you or help you or guide you or sell to you. They're just like there, and it's almost like you're bothering them, or they couldn't be bothered. They're like, I really have literally seen dealers fallen asleep at their table. And of course the younger person's version of that is like being on their phone the whole time. And it's like,
well, I can say this. Let me just say this.
Yeah.
Because I try to put my foot in other people's shoes. Like, I'm the kind of person where I enjoy engaging with people. So I enjoy having a conversation with you, getting to know you. We've never met in person before. We've never met before this time right now. Some people, that could bring them anxiety. There may be things about the hobby that they really like, but actually interacting with people that they don't know is an ends to a means to sell something per se, but it may not be the number one thing on their list, but they know they have to get it done because they want to sell something. And so maybe they adopt, because I've seen some people do this and I've asked them questions because I'm inquisitive. Some people take the approach to car sell themselves. So if I put the cars on the table, you'll pick through and see what you like. And then you'll ask me about price, and maybe we talk about price, but I could not even be comfortable negotiating that, and just put whatever the price is, that's what I want you to pay. So and that could be the case, because as I've traveled the country and met different people and been in different situations, I've met people to 180 from me, who you could drop me, Denny, in a room of people that I don't know. I'm going to have fun. There's nothing about that situation that's going to trip me out. There are people that, that's the furthest thing that they ever want to be in. They would prefer to be around people that they do know and have been around before, or no one. And even the people they've been around before, it's not an exciting situation for them, because they may receive a question about something that they really don't want to answer.
So I totally get that. And this is, like, for me, this is like, I'm learning too. And I really appreciate you saying that could be the case where they have some, anxiety. But let's say the internet did not exist, and let's say consigning did not exist, and we were back in the 90s or the early 2000s. I could see why that might be the only ways. That might be the only means to the end. But with eBay, with selling online in so many different platforms, with even like streaming where you don't have to show your face. I know some great people who are introverts who would never sell at a show, but when they get behind the camera and they don't have to show their face in like either a whatnot stream or something like that, where they really excel because it's almost like kind of like this. You're in the comfort of your own home, you're speaking into the microphone of your phone, and you don't have to show your face, and you're just showing cards and you're just selling. So if those things didn't exist, I would totally get it. But my whole thing is, I mean, maybe, yeah, I should give some kudos to the people who go out there and do it, even if it causes them major anxiety. So kudos to them, I guess. So I really do appreciate you saying that, because that does maybe give me a different perspective to look at it in.
But let me ask you, I'm picking up something here. Let me ask you some questions. What's your background? What did you study in school?
What did I study in school? Definitely not philosophy. Otherwise, I would have got that Nietzsche thing correct the first time. I really appreciate that question. I studied economics and finance at the University of Florida. Go Gators!
I'm picking all that up. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I didn't go into finance.
No,
I
but
just
you studied it. But you studied
I
it.
studied it. Yeah,
Tell me
but it's
more about your
also
background.
but University of Florida was a big party school. Like, I will say straight up, that was not that was not.
Tell me more about what you've done professionally. You're an inquisitive person. I'm already picking this up.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I think that's why I like doing the podcast, is to get to know people and to learn from them. The thing about me with my profession and all that, it's not that I would be glad to tell you offline and then tell people in person and in DMs. The thing that I hesitate with is, we know two things about the internet. One, sometimes you say something, it's like toothpaste. You can't put it back in the tube, right? Once it's out there, it's out there. It's like out there forever. The second thing is, I've met some amazing people in the hobby, and it's like this, 95 to 99% of the people I've talked to or met in the hobby have been awesome and great. And, they gave me the time of day when I had no following and nothing, and people continue to help me. And then there are people who will take anything you say and will just use it against you, or do things that aren't cool, right? Things that are just like out of bounds. So when it comes to my profession, like, I'm here in the hobby to have fun, and
let me say this.
It's how I don't think about my 9 to 5.
I only ask that question because you come across as very inquisitive, and you will find the answer if you don't know it. Let me just say that. Is that safe to say?
Wow. I gotta think about that. That's a really cool way of saying that. I mean,
within 23 minutes, I've picked this up. So I'm saying this to say that there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in the hobby that don't operate like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
So when you talk about eBay, it can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
When you talk about selling on whatnot, I know I talk to some people at shows that would never do that, because the learning process.
Yeah.
It's something that they're not interested in. They're used to how we grew up, where you go to a shop or a show, and this is in person. There are some things that card shops are probably going to be asked to do in the future that some card shop owners may not be interested in. That's going to be the evolution and the change of this thing. And I think I've talked to several people about this, but I actually think that what we know today on July 10th, or what we've known historically as far as a card show, will probably change over time. And that evolution of things will be a gatekeeper to some people that are not interested in that at all. And they would rather sell at a open market, because that's what most card shows are. It's an open market. You have a table, you put your product out. It could be of any different price range. You sign it and advertise it and price it the way you like, that you think is the most effective for people coming by. And that's what you do. Now, when you start adding layers of technology involved and other things involved, some people may not be interested in that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, no. So the first thing I want to say is I really appreciate that, and I cannot believe we're almost at 25 minutes with this. I mean,
Oh yeah.
whether I'm on the host side or the guest side, the time absolutely just flies by. It's amazing. It's like the time on a podcast is like acceleration. So I'm sorry.
And we're on the porch just having a conversation.
Yeah.
It was a very
So
chilled out environment.
oh yeah, no, I have I have a soft and not soft drink here next to me because we're just chilling.
There you
We're
go.
rolling.
We're rolling.
I brought up Nietzsche. Let's bring up Darwinism. Survival of the fittest, adapt or die. I mean, again, I don't not actually saying die, but I've actually called or jokingly but half jokingly like these dinosaur dealers. Dinosaurs they went extinct. Granted, there was a event that occurred that was out of their hands that they couldn't stop or prevent or get better from, but we know that if you're not able to adapt that you're not going to last. One of the people that I really have learned a lot from watching content, Rob Veris, Burbank Cards, and that's all he talks about is like his shop, adapt or die, the just all of this stuff. Maybe he doesn't say it like that. Maybe he's a little nicer with the way he says it, but yeah, that's a really interesting concept. I would love to see something where the idea of a local card show and the local card shop evolves. I'm really excited to see that. I don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. I know Fanatics definitely wants.
It's probably already underway.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's really interesting.
So you've been to the National before, right?
Yeah. So 2012 is the one and only one I went to. It was back then. It was in Baltimore, and I was in the DC area. It was right before my older son was born, and I went to that one, but I have not been since. And so
when you go to the National,
yeah,
there are gonna be a lot of dealers.
Yeah,
that don't have an Instagram.
Yeah,
that do not have a website.
Yep.
Some of them that only sell at the National, and you're gonna see great cars. You're gonna look down and be like, "Wow, wow!"
I know.
And I'm telling you, there are people who have fire that do not do any of that, and it would never be on a whatnot. It's not happening. They're never going to sell on eBay. It's not happening. There are so many great cars that I've come across that you would never see on eBay. And you're going to see them at the National. I'll be walking with you, Denny. And we'll ask somebody, hey, what's your Instagram? Don't do that.
Yeah.
But then when you look down.
Oh, I mean, I've definitely seen it. I'm really fortunate to have the Chantilly show just 45 minutes away from my house.
Seen it there.
And so I'll see the dealers, I'll talk to them, and they'll have a business card, but I don't do Instagram, or hey, I got Facebook, but that's about it, and I get that. I'm gonna be there like as long as I can in terms of like I'll be there for that preview day on Wednesday. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm leaving early Sunday morning, but my main goal is do not spend all my money on day one and just be going to a casino and going with a certain amount of money and being like, oh, I just spent it all in the first 15 minutes. What do I do for the rest of the time?
I kind of did that 2 years ago. I went to a trade night, spent a bunch of dollars, and then did some small stuff the rest of the weekend. But
yeah, right.
I'll say this: if you find something that you really like the first night.
Well, we also know that people pay a premium to go early for early access to shows, right? And so that's when you scoop up deals. But also, we also know that the end of a show is when, Dan, the great curator, talks about the golden hour, or like this time when people want to shed their inventory before they pack up and go home. So that's a good time to buy too. But that's usually when it is like everything's been picked over and it's slim pickings. That said, I mean, I do have like a want list of like 3 to 5 cards that if I see it, I'm gonna have to like, I'll be there negotiating for like 30 minutes. Like that's let me stop. Let me really, maybe have to walk outside to do some comping because of the because of the bad cell service I heard. But
No, your internet in Chicago at the Rosemont is going to be spectacular. You won't have to walk outside. You'll walk outside to celebrate your card purchase.
Okay.
But you won't walk outside for service.
Gotcha. So yeah, no, I'm really excited to go and looking forward to meeting you and so many people that I've gotten to know on Instagram and like people who are in the chat right now just saying things like I know half these folks and I've talked to them on DMs and this community is just absolutely awesome. It really is.
True. What we got here? We got Demetrius saying we're rolling. Demetrius, thank you for being here, sir. Appreciate you. Big John says Fanatics is an event they can't avoid. This is true.
That's the meteor. Oh,
this is the change that I'm talking about, and it's coming.
Asteroid.
Hero. FD 2K gave LeBron. I saw this today.
Wow.
LeBron at 97 rating, which is the highest rating he shares with 5 or so other players. Do you think that's good? Why or why not?
Oh, he's baiting you, isn't he?
Oh well,
you're a Warrior fan. You're a Curry fan.
Well, Hero knows I keep it real on LeBron.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I want to hear it.
I think when someone is on their way at the end of their career, you give them a solid. This is not the best LeBron has played, but LeBron is playing better than anyone we've seen. That's tip I had to him. Anyone we've seen at this tenure of his career. I remember when Kobe was well into his career. Mike Jordan was well into his career. When I was a kid, Kareem was well into his career. He wasn't playing like none of these people was playing like LeBron. So yeah, I mean, you gotta congratulate the guy. You gotta, sometimes somebody gets a Pro Bowl or NBA All-Star vote when they really don't deserve it, but you give it to them because of the work they put in. So yeah, every young kid today is probably gonna want to pick up 2K and play with LeBron at a top level. So why not? You can't put LeBron at what 85, 90?
85, that'd be wild.
Yeah, you can't.
Oh man.
And who are the other players? I think I took a screenshot of this.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I haven't played.
I know Jan. Oh, here we go. Right here, we got the Joker. Basketball Forever put it up. Luka's at a 97. People should really be talking about that.
Wild.
Let's not talk about LeBron. Let's talk about what Luka's at a 97. Joel Embiid is at a 97, and Giannis is at a 97.
Yeah.
Okay. So you telling me that Luka ranked over Steph Curry? And that's what we need to be talking about.
Yeah. So you think, I totally get the idea of the Lifetime Achievement Award going to LeBron, doing him a solid at the end. I think that's hilarious. I think that's a great question by Hero. I wonder if LeBron maybe slipped a couple of Abraham Lincolns to Ronnie 2K.
Could have. Man, hook me up. I think he was not satisfied with his rating the last couple of years. So I mean, it's all good. What do you think about that? LeBron being at 97.
Again, I haven't played. I've definitely played basketball video games since NBA Jam. I mean, I will say that, but I will say that he should definitely be over 92. I was going to say 90, but yes, clearly over 90, over 92, maybe 93, 94, but 97 is, I mean, we are talking tail end LeBron. So I don't know about that. You know what I would love to know? I know we always fixate on that overall rating being the highest. I want to see his subgrades, right? His subcategories, what his sub ratings are. Like what if they give him for, shooting and passing and all that. So I would be interested in looking at that. I mean, we know that when it comes to basketball, offensive awareness, defensive awareness, he's going to be like, that doesn't really go away with age. I mean, maybe reaction time does. I don't think reaction time is like a sub rating, but when it comes to those other ratings, I would love to see that. Luka at 97 is wild to me. I mean, this is someone who, I mean, for all intents and purposes, hasn't done anything. I mean, he is very impressive. And see, I'm going to start getting in trouble here, FD. I shouldn't be talking.
Get yourself in trouble.
I should not. I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to, believe me. But like, let's just say that when it comes to current stuff, I'm not one of these folks who watches every game, every highlight, all of that. I just know that, I love sports cards. I know the hype with Luka. Luka being one of the hottest cards or not prospects, but like one of the hottest players to collect. I totally get that. But from a on-court basketball standpoint, I don't understand how he is a 97 with those other four. Well, again, with LeBron maybe being lower. Should Luca be like a 93 or 94? Yeah, I totally get that. But come on, he's not. He's again got to look at the sub ratings, got to see what they really gave him props on. But man, no.
We all know part of this is to sell video games.
Yeah.
John might have been in a 97 before the video. Then we got to do something else. Oh, let's pick Luca. I mean, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Never know what the decisions in that room was, or
Yeah.
several meetings that were had was.
Right.
But you got to have some top players that are getting some top ratings. I would just like to know when I think about Shea, where's Shea at? Where's Steph Curry at?
Oh yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
Let me think of some other players. I'd like to even know where's Ja. What do they do with Zion? Zion might have been 97 until. I don't know.
I'm gonna hold my tongue on. I was gonna say some not so nice things, but I'm not. I'm not even one drinking, so
Okay.
we're good.
Yeah. When you get that second one down, we'll start talking to really.
Right.
Who winning the home run derby?
Baseball. I know Big John. Shout out to Big John. You want to go ahead first?
First of all, let me get knowledge up on who's in it.
If you want to have me go first and just kind of eat the minute. Yeah,
it won't buy.
Florida Gator. I'm not a big baseball guy, but when it comes to I know where some of my more favorite players are, and Florida Gator, Pete Alonso, Polar Bear. He's won it twice already. Could he go for third? I mean, I always thought about maybe the home run derby. Wasn't there that narrative out there that if you win it, you mess up your swing for the rest of the year, and you kind of have this second half slump. But man, I
look what happened to Soto last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's really cool. I mean, again, I don't follow that much baseball, but I heard that there's a catcher. Is it Adley Rushman? I don't know. There's like a catcher.
Adley Rushman from the Orioles is the name I'm looking at right now.
That'd be cool because I remember back in the old days when Mike Piazza was a really great hitting catcher. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Pete Alonso. I mean, if someone was like, I'm not a betting guy and all that, cards are enough of a gamble for me. But yeah, I would say Pete Alonso. Pete loves the Derby.
I'm gonna go Mookie Betts.
Mookie.
Or Randy.
Is that Arizona?
Arozarena?
Arozarena. That's how much I know baseball.
To me, you have to be. I know Pete Alonso won it before.
Yeah.
But most people that win let me just say it like this: they can swing the bat over and over again, and they're in shape to do so. Most people that win. A lot of the big guys that come up, and don't knock against Vlad Guerrero Jr. I don't see Vlad Guerrero Jr. winning. There are certain other people in here that I don't see winning as well. That's why I would. But Big John, Pete loved the Derby. Yeah, Big John, let me know what you're thinking, because I know Big John has some real baseball and other sports knowledge. But
so to get ready for today's Rolling with FD, I gotta say I saw both. I saw more than just 2 episodes, but I saw the one with Big John and Army, Alex, and when I was watching, I was like, man, John knows his sport so well, and Alex, like he's like I've mentioned him in my Instagram where I'm just like, man, this dude. When I first started watching YouTube videos with cards being broken, he's breaking with the, with his fatigues on and his helmet on, and he's opening up Exquisite and busting open that LeBron, autograph. And I'm just like, man, like this dude. And it's so crazy that like, years down the road, like, like I DM with him and he's just like a really cool dude. But I'm just like, man, just so awesome. But they know their stuff, man. I do not put myself out as an expert of anything. My self-proclaimed title is Jack of all trades and master of none, man.
Well, for me, and I think that's why I focus a lot of content. Luis Robert, okay, gonna go with Chicago, huh? Luis Robert. So that's a nice pick. I think he's a guy who I could see winning the home run derby. Let's see what happens after this. Let's all chat about it. See what's up. I just connect sports with the hobby. Like that's the only way I know how to really the only way I know how to roll.
Yeah.
I have to watch the game. I gotta watch the player. I gotta see what's up on the team. Baseball, who's the manager? How does this person fit in? Where they batting in the lineup? Are they driving people in? Are they leaving people on base? If they're pitching, what's the ERA? Are they on a trash team? So if they're 6-7, could they really be 12-1? Those are the kind of things I'm really looking for. It's the same thing with basketball. Like, how do you score your points? I just want to see how many points you had. How did you score them? Those are the things I look for. In boxing, I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. I saw a video today of Anthony Davis sparring in a boxing ring, I guess, to get in shape. He actually looked pretty good for a guy his height. Well, you know, most guys, you're so tall, your center of gravity is off. So you throw a jab, you're already off balance. But I just look for certain things in sports, and then to me, it translates into what are they going to do in their career, what's going to happen. And that's just how I make decisions. And I don't know how people do it independently. I did play sports with people that never watched the sport we played. It can't happen. That's just my way. And I think Big John is like that. I think you're talking about Army ATC. He knows his sports. There are other people that I've talked to that you can sit down and talk sports with them and then get into the hobby, or vice versa. You can talk the hobby with them and then get into sports. Or it could go back and forth over the net like in a tennis match. You know, you talk about different things. And that's just how I make the connection. Like, I spent a lot of time sitting here. The other day I went to get a haircut. I'll tell you this story, Danny. And I turn around and I'm like, Detroit Pistons playing right now? I didn't even know that. My mind was on something else that day. And so I sat down in the barbershop, found a chair closest to that TV, and watched 3/4 of the game. Summer League game out of Vegas. Like, I got to sit, and the one of the barbers said, how many people in the hobby you think right now is sitting watching basketball to understand what these new players, how are they coming out the gate? What are they doing? I don't care if you're in your first, second, third, whatever year. How you doing what you're doing? I mean, I don't know, but that's the only way I know how to understand who are the twins that were just in a draft. Who is Scoot? Who is Victor? I have an indication. I think people are very hard on Victor right now, and they're saying certain things about him. But I think he's the kind of person, appears to be able to tune that out and go out and handle his business. If you can do more of that, you're gonna be all right. So that's kind of how I make the connection. Not saying that's the only way, but it helps me weed out all that hype, all that talk. Oh man, so and so is gonna be. Oh man, Harold Miner. Remember Harold Miner?
Baby Jordan.
Oh man, just start naming for no. Watch Harold Miner play. No, I went to USC to watch OJ Mayo play back in the day. He was at USC.
Nice.
Like, no, OJ is not.
He's not him.
Sebastian Telfair.
No. Bassey.
I know LeBron just came out, but no, this guy's not that kind of point guard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've said this in other places and even my own podcast, but it's so funny when you talk about like these New York point guards. None of us, none of us, like I was competing, but I never got past like intramurals. I didn't even play like high school and like that. But it's funny how people who play pickup basketball outside in New York, because, you know, we didn't have like indoor facilities. It's like no one could shoot, like, you know, Lance Stevenson, Rod Strickland, all these really good get to the rim players, Stephon Marbury, Coney Island's, you know, finest and all that. Like, none of them could really shoot, but they could all drive to the basket, and they were tough finishers. But you know, it's when you're playing outside, you're dealing with the winds, so no one wanted to shoot from 3-point line. You know, not all those players grew up with Del Curry as their dad, you know, in like air conditioned indoor. And nothing against Steph, because he really is the best shooter in the world ever, but you know, like, he absolutely, you know, like, you play outside and you play a different way. Absolutely, you do.
True. We got Ruben. Thanks, Ruben, for being here, and we're rolling. We keep rolling.
Yeah.
Big John says Victor showed up, and from the beginning of the game, he had a certain look on his face that told me all the trash talking went in tonight.
Yeah, with
Don't
the
talk about me
Band-Aid on
being
his
a bust.
face.
Yeah, don't talk about me being a bust. Don't talk about
Yeah.
me being trash.
But that's good that his first game wasn't that great because, like I actually said this in threads earlier today, and I do want to ask about your barber. I want to know if he collects
Oh, no,
cards.
I love the thread shout out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I want to talk about Victor, but I wanted to ask your barber, my mailman, and I've posted this on Instagram before in the past, but he collects cards, so like he'll
Oh,
know like.
the barber collects cards too.
Oh, I love that, man. Oh, so you guys have a great time talking about the
Yeah,
hobby
he was
then.
collecting cards before we really started talking. He was telling me the other day that some of my content we put out inspired him to keep going. I told him I really appreciate. I love to hear anything that's positive coming out of seeing someone talk about really what their father introduced to them.
Yeah.
And if you are out there and you can hear my voice, and any guardian you've been around has inspired you to do something, shout out to you and that person that inspired you. Because of me, everything we do is what was taught to me. It was kind of how I come to it. When I walked the show with Junior, my son, when I walked with G, my son, it was how I used to walk with my dad back in the day, and how we conducted ourselves. Because Denny, my people from the South, right? I can't speak for everybody. I only talk about my family.
South side, right?
Yeah, South side. So when you and I always tell people my parents' house was on the South side.
I'm from the
really
South
from
too.
my parents' house. Where you from?
I'm from the South too. South Korea.
Oh, there you go. South Korea in the house. There we go. We got South side Chicago and South Korea. So when we left the house, man, your etiquette, how you got down, how you interact with people, how you talk to folks. We were taught yes, ma'am, no, sir. That's just what we were taught. That was very important. So even now when we go out, talking to Junior and G and trying to show them how to interact and make sure I'm interacting the right way is very important. So and that will take you through anything in life. You could be somewhere. You could be in Junior could be in South Korea one day. It's going to help him.
I before we started recording, I was telling you how I've seen your I was binging your content, today, and I've seen your stuff before, but like and the first time I ever saw you on Instagram was when you were live in like Virginia Beach. You were there for something, and I was like, man, yeah, rolling with, it's like, oh, cool. He's like showing us around, and that's only like 3 hours away from me. I was like, oh, it's cool. But yeah, like knowing like you used to play football and like the Bayside and like Bay Area. I mean, sorry about that. Like you're from the LA area and like you love Golden
Well, I
State.
grew up in Chicago. Grew up in Chicago.
South side. Yeah, I
in
knew.
LA.
Yeah. No, but that's really cool. But then I was watching this almost like a episode of Storage Wars, you and your son, and he's talking about like all this stuff and like you guys are just bonding together. I was like, man, I would love to do something like that, but my wife drew the hard line with no, our family not on, other than me and maybe my dog on Instagram. And so I respect that, but I do try to see if I can go to shows with them because it's all about the bonding experience with the next generation.
Let me say this on what your wife said.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult for me to bring Junior to a show. I talk about this all the time, and I'll talk about this with you. When it comes up. Well, if you notice our first content, we for a long time we went out. It was me. It was difficult for me, so I understand her point of view. I understand your point of view because there's a lot going on out here. But
I know, right?
We talked here, and what I decided is that I want him to be a part of this, so it wasn't. I'm doing something without him.
Right.
I'm going out and recording. He's at home. And this happens on a regular. I'm going out and recording. He's at home. If I was a child, I would start thinking like my dad's picking that over me. So I wanted him to be a part of it. I wanted him to learn things. If he decides I don't want to have anything to do with cards, learn certain principles that will be a part of your life as you go forward. Those are the things that I talk to him about. Most of the time in the content, I don't even talk to him about cards. I don't, he picks up on stuff. He's attentive like I was when I was his age.
Yeah.
And me too. And they start learning certain things about what kind of cards, what kind of brands, who's the player, who am I looking for, what are other people talking about, what makes a card collectible, what is gold, What is a ruby? Like they understand all these things. He and I were talking the other night at trade night at Bullpen here in LA in El Segundo, California. We were talking about what are rubies, what are diamonds, what are different gemstones in cars, and what makes them collectible. We were talking about that. So those are the things that I want them to take away. And then I want Junior to be able to get out like he was with some children that were at the trade show that were right around his age, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they were having fun and enjoying each other and talking about cars. Those are the things that I want him to take away from it. We know there in any group of people, because I've been involved in many different groups, organizations, things in college, things post-educational endeavors. There could be some middle of the road and some negative stuff.
Yeah.
But I want them to understand, be aware of that's out there, because I've been having some conversations with Junior about many different things. Be aware that that kind of stuff is out there, but understand, be able to find what we used to joke. My grandmother used to tell me, "What's the binding of the book like? What's the thing that holds the pages together? Because without that, you have confusion." Right? And so whenever I go into a situation, you can talk to people here in my family. I'm always focused on if they pick it up or not, because sometimes I don't even break it down. What is the binding of the book like? What is the crux of that organization? If you're in something that has bylaws or rules or whatever, what do those words say that are written, not just what people do? But what is the organization really about? What was it founded on? I'm in a fraternity. I've done a bunch of different things in life. That's where I spend my time. Not just on what are people out here doing in the name of something. I got deep, but that's how I think about stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
it cuts out all kind of confusion. It cuts out a derailment. It cuts a lot of different stuff out for me and allows me to focus on what the purpose is. Roll with FD, I started. My family started because I wanted to show what do I collect and how do I collect it. So in episode 60 per se, I'm not running out and buying. Jabari Smith just had a good game the other day in Summer League. He had 38 points, and people are like, man, Jabari Smith. Last year, bro shot 30% from the 3-point line. Now, will he get better? Let's just give him some time and see. But I can't go off a Summer League game. I just saw his car prices are ticking up. We do this every year. We do this every year. We, as collectors and investors and flippers, we start running the stuff. I mean, that's cool, but that's not why I started rolling with FD. So you probably, when you're watching me, you won't see me running after Jabari Smith. So I'm think about it. Yeah, but for those who do get excited about Jabari Smith, have fun with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Collect what you love, like people say. I mean, if people are, I guess the interesting thing about collect what you love is what I think some people don't talk about as often is what if you love money? What if that's what you collect? Like the flippers, they're not there really to love on, to have a PC,
No.
They just want to maximize their value with their,
But I also say this all the time about flippers. There's an ecosystem in the hobby.
Oh, I agree.
We need flippers. When I talk to them, when I see flippers, I talk to them. I appreciate what they do. I have several cards in my PC that flippers have moved across this country, and I was allowed to buy it because they moved it.
No,
that
absolutely.
was a card that I have that went from LA. It was ripped out of a pack in LA, was purchased at the National in New Jersey, and I purchased it from someone that lives in the Bay. So that's the ecosystem of the hobby. So
absolutely. And like we know with many ecosystems, it can be a really delicate balance. And if you have too many of one thing, it can overpower the rest of the ecosystem. So I think it's important to have flippers. This is what I talk about in my podcast. Breakers, they get such a bad rap, but I've always said good breakers are good for the hobby, bad breakers are bad for the hobby. And when it comes down to breaking, we need singles to enter into the secondary market. We need wax broken, if wax, but maybe wax isn't being broken by people pursing or doming boxes because it's so expensive. then the question is, are hobby boxes expensive because of the breakers in the ecosystem? I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of like thinking about these things, and I'm trying to learn from people and trying to figure out, what's going on here. But I've had people on my podcast talking about, well, I haven't had breakers I'm not there to like just. I want to eventually get to a bunch of different people in different aspects of the hobby, but when it comes down to it, I think understanding where people come from, why they do things, learning their motivations, like these are things that I'm really curious about, because yes, it's about the cards. That's why we're all here. But like, I don't really talk about card values and card prices, specific cards in my podcast. All that said, I love content like this. I love talking about current event stuff when I can. That's why I'm kind of like letting my hair down or a little bit loose here, because it's like you and I are like at a bar, right? We're at a pub and the game's on and we're just talking, right? That's what I love. I love the connections. Absolutely.
But going back to breakers, I see breakers as marketing for the hobby.
Yeah.
It creates a buzz, gets excitement going, starts people talking about stuff. So even if I don't break flawless, I may want some flawless cards. I may want to see what somebody else has in flawless, or what came out the box, or what are some other not only parallels but subsets that are in flawless, or whatever brand it may be. I may want to see that.
What's in the box?
It builds excitement. If somebody pulls a big card, like when Army ATC pulled a big card, that video lives forever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm not here to like plug my podcast this whole time, but I did want to say I had on a guest who was a 1/3 owner of the LeBron triple logo man. He had Backyard Breaks, Backyard Breaks broke it, and I'm not here to sponsor anyone like that, but or anyone in general. I'm not trying to be, I'm not being pro or anti.
Denny, you can speak freely, man. You can advertise your podcast. You can shout out Backyard Breaks. I've ran into Backyard Breaks at Burbank Sports Card. Cool guys, talk to him.
Yeah,
it's all good, man.
All right, okay.
All good.
But he was on the show. He was on the Netflix show King of Collectibles, The Golden Touch, and I just wanted to know, like, what's that feeling like? And like, he's gonna forever remember. That's got to be the highlight pull of your like life. And so for people like Alex and people like Jason Hickey, I can't even imagine that being part of like the history of sports cards, right? I mean, like when you pull big cards like that, I still remember that YouTube clip of Alex pulling like a LeBron RPA. Like, it's just insane. It's like it's so crazy. It's just so much fun. Like I'm in here for the fun. Like, it's entertainment. I know there's some people who live or die by every dollar they make here, because that's what helps pay their rent. But when it comes down to it, I'm not an insider. I am someone who is just continuing to learn and continuing to want to grow in the hobby and just learn as much as I can and have fun while doing it.
That's what it's all about to me.
Yeah.
Victor's second game, we talked about, he showed up, showed out. Brendan, no chatter about LaMelo signing a $207 million contract. I thought about this today. In a t-shirt and fuzzy slippers. That's Melo. Melo took pictures on Instagram and like inside of a 7-Eleven showing his new teeth. That's Melo.
That's LeVar's son. That is LeVar. I mean, man, talk about
let me say this though.
Yeah.
We talk about LeVar, right? Guy came from South Central. We talk about marketing.
Yeah,
he's loud, but would you hear him if he was quiet? Would you hear LeVar if he was Tim Duncan? You wouldn't hear him. You wouldn't want to say, this guy, and change the channel, or not change the channel, but really sit there and listen to him and talk his boys up. Put two in the league. One signed I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah.
One signed a $200 million contract. One signed a pretty nice rookie deal. And everybody's set for life. That was a game plan. That was a script that was written. So,
I mean, I said it in a sarcastic way, but I have nothing bad to say. I will say sometimes we are influenced to not like certain people and we don't even realize it. So the narrative that kept going on with like LeVar with LeVar Ball was like, oh, like, he's so bombastic and oh, he thinks he could beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one. And it's like, if I could do anything in the world to help my kids advance, I would do that as his. If I was, we all think that we would do things differently, but we don't actually. When we're actually in those shoes, in the heat of the moment, I bet you a lot of us would do what he did, which is advance his kids' careers forward as best as he could as their dad. And I very much remember the time after LeVar and like after a lot of the initial hot takes came out and like, oh, a lot of the LeVar hate, talking about how there sometimes is a double-edged sword or like a double standard when it comes to the way. And believe me, look, I'm Asian American, I'm not African American, but I remember reading the articles about how would we treat him differently or more favorably if he was a white dad with white sons. Like, are we giving him a harder time because of his skin color? So I remember reading those articles and thinking, wow, like maybe I was being influenced not like this bombastic guy. Because I think what a lot of people don't like on the internet is like people who are confident or people who are like self-assured. But I mean, if you don't toot your own horn, who's going to do it for you? No one. So that's why you always got to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, and if you don't create some kind of controversy, who's watching that? Very positive. There are some very positive people making content. Nobody's talking about them.
Well, I hope to break that trend. Maybe like I want to stay as positive possible and put out some fun, good content. I am not trying to get.
Only thing I'm talking about, Denny, is like I'm talking about the people that the majority of people turn on the TV, turn on Instagram, reading what they did on Threads.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the masses.
Yeah.
I think we can be out here to like I don't make up stuff to I'm probably too straightforward person for that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't make up stuff to create content. That's just not me.
But yeah.
No, does that exist? Does that exist out there? Probably does.
It does. Well, drama sells, as we know. There's many things that sell in life, and that's why it continues to be exploited and it continues to be used. But no, I'm here to make positive, fun content, relatable content, because I am not deep pockets. I'm not Mr. Monopoly, Mr. Moneybags. I have a humble collection. I love showing off the cards that I get. When I get the big cards, I celebrate it. I savor it. Like, I'll just stare at cards. I'll read the backs of cards. I know there's so much emphasis on the front of cards, but I love reading the back of cards just like I was a kid. And so I know, scarce cards are because of the parallel numbering and the low serial numbers and all that stuff. But for me, I'm just like, man, like, I just love shiny cards too. That's the thing. Like, just show me shiny and I'll just chase it like a little baby, I guess.
So let me ask you this. What's your most prized card? It doesn't have to be the one with the biggest value.
Yeah.
Well, what's your most prized card?
It's always like, I appreciate you asking that, because I think a lot of people want to like, get to, it's almost like that card is a reflection of me as a collector. But I always say, I mean, I will straight up say it's the card. I mean, I could go get it, but it's the Michael Jordan Scoring Kings card, because I remember as a kid, I pack pulled that card at the local card shop and I was super excited. And I remember when I moved to Florida from Queens, New York to Florida, and I was trying to make friends. I had this one kid who was trying to befriend me and like try to get that card from me, and he kept relentlessly, begging me and talking about the card. And I was just like trying to make a friend. I was like, all right, here you go. Like, if you really want this card, And then after that, he was like he totally changed. Like, he wasn't like a real friend of mine. He just wanted the card. But that really did, in a way, leave a void, like a gap, like a bad taste in my mouth, and was a hole in my childhood that I feel like, as for my 40th birthday last September, that's the card that I chose to spend money on. And at that time, I was like, I can't believe I would spend this much money. Of course, now we just become immune or numb to the numbers, right, and how expensive cards can be. But at the time, I was back into the hobby, and I picked that card up. And so that's the card that I cherish, even though, I mean, I'll just show it right now. It's within reach, but it's a PSA 7 Michael Jordan Scoring Kings. And
Scoring Kings is nice.
Yeah, it's the iconic, all that stuff. And I look at it and I go, yeah, you know, I fill that hole in my childhood.
That's what it's all about, bro.
Yeah.
Scoring Kings is a nice card. Very condition sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's out there, easy to chip, scratch. Things looks great though. Even coming out of the pack looks amazing.
Yeah.
Beverly Riggins, and we're rolling. I'm from the South Side of Chicago, 2FD, and love the Cubs. See, this is what people fail to realize. So I'm from the South Side, love the Cubs. I'm from the South Side, love the Sox. So I have family. When my father first moved to Chicago, he lived on the North Side. My mom was from the North Side,
Mm-hmm.
and then we lived when I was growing up on the South Side. So, I mean, you can't root for both teams. People think you cannot, but you.
Okay.
I'm feeling that, Beverly Riggins. Good evening, everyone. What have I missed? We've talked about a whole lot of things here for you guys. We've moved around from sports to cars and back to sports and then back to cars and had some conversations about life and Ziggy. Always good to have you here. Thank you. Always.
Ziggy.
I appreciate you.
Can I say something about Ziggy?
Yeah, go ahead.
I when I watch other content, I see him around, and here's someone who I didn't know he had his own, content, right? I mean, I would see him comment and recently I saw him put out a fire like reel about breakers, and I was looking at this thing, I'm like, Ziggy, like I thought this dude was like older than me, and like I didn't know he had this technological skills, and I'm just like, man, this is an impressive reel. So I took a look at that and I was like, man, what can I learn from this? Like, man, this dude did a really good job with it. So kudos to you, Ziggy. And I never want to be on your bad side because I know that you draw your once someone gets into your line of sights, man. I don't envy those people. So, but Ziggy's good, folks. I see him in the Cage Lawyers, lives and all that too. He's a good guy.
Yeah, Ziggy's a good guy. Good guy. Ziggy always says that cars are not an investment.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that before. Ziggy's a good guy. What else is new and exciting with Denny Cards? What else is going on?
Man, I gotta say the podcast really has been taking up a lot of my hobby time, but it also makes me not spend money in the hobby because I'm so busy trying to procure guests, write up my episodes, and like just plan. I'm always doing something with my evenings. Like, I mean, I gotta say it is kind of sad because that would be my usual like time to just kind of like veg out with television. But sometimes I'll have a game in the background and all that. But um, I definitely do feel like I've there was a time when the balance was really off. Like I was spending way too much time in the hobby time, but I would say probably the person who misses me the most with hobby time is like my dog, because like I don't like my dog in my lap. She's a small dog, but when I do things like this, like I don't have her in my lap. When I'm cleaning cards, I don't want the dog on my lap. So before the hobby, she was just so coddled and cuddled and loved on. But no, when it comes to what's new, man, I'm always trying to learn and improve. Like, right now, recently, I haven't posted any of my custom card art because it's so elementary almost and like embarrassing to me. But
Hold on. Do you make art? You do art?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm trying because I don't really have a strong creative bone in my body, but I am trying to, with this whole hobby S. Thompson, the card diary, this podcast, I want to do things that I normally would maybe not do in the hobby to see how it is to be in those shoes. So, you know, I've done other things, right? I mean, I've done things that a lot of us do, which is, clean cards, submit them for grading. Like I have 5 submissions. I've done 5 submissions, 2 to Beckett, 3 to PSA. And I keep learning at each one. My first submission was like terrible, such low grades, but also like a lot of 90s cards, which are harder to gem, of course. But each time I'm learning and I'm like growing within, that aspect of the hobby. But, I don't want to show it right now, but I have taken an X-Acto knife and I'm cutting out the outline of players to see how hard it really is. And then I bought custom card art from someone, and so and they're going to be a future guest of mine. You're going to be a future guest of mine, of course, if you will be on it. But basically,
all you gotta do is tell me the day and the time. Coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm realizing like how much pressure you gotta put on the X-Acto knife to the actual cardboard to like have it cut, how to cut neatly, how to like all this stuff. It's like wild to me, and it's me just really learning. Like, if this person's charging $100 to $200 per card, like, not saying that I would ever sell my custom cards or anything like that, but like, is it worth the money? Right now, I'm thinking, yeah, it is because it's really hard, but I don't know until I try.
Understood. Feed the Gods asks, is anyone into UFC? I watch. I couldn't say that I'm into UFC. What about you, Denny?
No, I mean, I know the main players. I don't collect any of the cards. That is one realm of the hobby that I haven't really gotten into. I do collect wrestling cards because they remind me of my youth, like just the classic guys from the 80s and 90s. But UFC stuff, I never really got into, both as a sport. Like, whenever it hits the zeitgeist, whenever it hits pop culture, like, I know who Dana White is, and I know, like, again, that's all promotion, all that, but I know that there's like Bellator and some other things like that, but I'm not. Sorry, Feed the Gods. I'm not your man for that, for sure.
Beverly says, yes, UFO, real talk. My husband could talk all night about them.
UFC, maybe, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah, I think UFC. Feed the God says, I'm more than willing to help you out, Dennis.
Right.
I'm a musician and an artist as well.
DM me, Feed the Gods. My Instagram handle is down here somewhere.
Yeah, at Denny _cards.
Yeah.
Zerny says, I like the card art too.
Yeah,
card art is on. Who's your wrestling PC?
Well, let me tell you, brother. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. Man, Hulkster, I really liked him as a kid, and then what he did to Deadspin and Gawker and all that. Speaking about videos, we were talking about Zion earlier. Like, I mean, I don't know. The Hulkster is, I'm conflicted with him. I almost want to make a joke with Big John to say that it's Montez Ford, because I know I got this one Montez Ford patch card that I've been spending months trying to convince him that he needs it for his PC. But no, I don't really have like a wrestling PC. Like, I recently bought some cards from the Great Curator. He sent me like the Prism base set with some parallels and inserts. But let me tell you straight up, and I don't have an auto of him. Like, there are people who I love to collect. I don't have their autos because they're so expensive, right? Jordan, Kobe, I don't have their autos. Ultimate Warrior, all right? Let me tell you straight up. If you can imagine me like as like a 9-year-old with like rubber bands and like scotch tape or something, just I'm wrapping around my biceps and I'm just running around my apartment, just like pretending like I'm Ultimate Warrior. Like, that was me, man.
I like that. So everybody that's on here that's probably from Chicago, Denny, I'm pretty sure if you follow Northwestern football, Pat Fitzgerald has been let go. So when I played high school football in Chicago, Pat Fitzgerald was playing in the suburbs.
Oh.
I've known Pat Fitzgerald, not personally, but him as an athlete for a long time. He's been at Northwestern for years, played at Northwestern. And the reason why he was let go is because there's a probe and investigation going on about hazing allegations. I'd just like to know what was going on at Northwestern that Pat Fitzgerald is either hazing or allowing hazing to happen. And I just want to, because I played in a different area. Pat Fitzgerald now, like I said, are from the same time. I wonder what was going on. That's just interesting to me that after this tenure of time that he's there, you let him go for hazing. And then when did hazing begin? Or when did it become intolerable? Because there can be an amount of hazing going on when somebody's playing a sport. And most people out here that probably have never been in a locker room, have never played, wouldn't even know that. But there's an amount of hazing that could go on.
So the two main things I know about Northwestern football is they've gotten really good recently, and Michael Wilbon is he's a booster, he's a supporter. He went to the school, and he's a big fan. Yeah, no, he's all about it. I mean, I didn't think we are going to be talking about this or much of what
I just saw something. I just saw something in front of me.
I always have, you know what? I open my mouth. It doesn't matter if I don't know what I'm talking about. If someone gives me a microphone or a platform, I will just talk. So let me say this about hazing. We know that there's many different degrees of hazing, right? Hey, rookie, go get me the donuts, or hey, freshman, go get me, carry my bags. I mean, that's like the lightest form of hazing. Then you got some pretty serious stuff that can mess people up physically, psychologically. Yeah. And unfortunately, we've seen, and maybe this isn't hazing, but like coaches literally run athletes, especially in the summertime, down to death,
into
right?
The ground.
Into the ground. Yeah, 6 feet under. So, I wonder what happens. But we also know the other thing we know very much is when you are a winner, you get away with a lot of things. We've seen it with Urban Meyer. We've seen it with Lawrence Taylor, with Bill Parcells having his own set of rules, right? LT could do all this stuff, but y'all can't because you're not LT, right? I mean, we have so many players and coaches that get away with things depending on your success level, right? So I wonder what happened to him. I don't know that much more other than those
it'll
things.
all come out. It just blew my mind that because I saw this before we got on. When I first got home, I saw this, but I just thought, okay, it's probably ran its course. But when I saw hazing allegations, it was like, wow. At Northwestern? Wow. It's interesting. Interesting how that goes. I'll tell this story. I remember my freshman year of college. I'm in practice. We had just started football camp. And a guy who's, I'm a freshman. I think he was a junior. Yeah. Okay. He was a junior. So he played DB. I should give his name. He actually played against, if anybody out there knows Rod Smith, played with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
This guy lined up against Rod Smith in the game and had some touchdowns caught on him in the second half. Shut Rod down the first half, second half. History was made by Rod Smith. Rod had 4 touchdowns in one half. So with my own eyes. So after that game, I remember telling people that guy was going to the NFL. They was like, nah. He ended up going to the NFL, winning 2 Super Bowls, John Elway. So this guy, we were coming out to practice, and ironically, I'm standing by my head coach, and this guy begins to tell me that I need to go get some blocking pads out of the shed. We had like a shed where we kept pads that you would put on different things to go through our practice. And so, in the essence of this podcast, I advised him that he should get up and go get the pads because I didn't come here to get pads. Now, like I said, there are things way beyond that. That's a form of hazing, but there are things that people can try to put on someone to do. I would hope this is not something that was negative for a young person in his program. Did not put a young person at harm's way. It's not something that is can be traumatizing in the future to someone, because I don't think anybody sent their child to Northwestern or any higher education institution to walk away with something that's negative. Being a part of this program, I came close to going to Northwestern. Being a part of this program should be something that is positive. So
yeah.
Steven says, any recommendations on custom Jordan or Kobe card creators? Steven, if you DM me, who made that? Did you make that?
Yeah, so no, oh my gosh, this would be amazing if I could. I would have so much more money for my Jordan cards. So this is that 86 Fleer type of looks with the Panini Prism, the ultra modern. So it's combining I don't even call it vintage, but I guess 86 is vintage. 90s cards are not vintage, folks. But this
they're about to be.
I am making this so old.
About to be.
So I'm gonna have this creator on my podcast, but his name is Andre. He's Cardmart Canada on Instagram. So He and I were talking, and I asked him if he could make this. I talked to a bunch of people to make me something like this, but man, this thing is, he can't make you one of these because it's a one of one, but he can make you something similar. I'll say that. But this thing, man, he put actual like gemstones or things like that in there. And I'm probably not doing it justice, but Stephen Hong, if you want to go to my Instagram page, it's a recent post that I showed this off. Man, this is like in my forever PC. It looks so dope. I can't believe he made it. Like it looks so nice. So I definitely recommend Andre, Card Mart Canada. Shout out to him.
Now, Stephen, he gave Andre, and then I'll give a person that I've met, known, talked to, seen their work, also had it on in my hand. Is Kev's Cards. See if you can see this.
Yeah.
Kev's
Absolutely.
Cards is the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Evander Holyfield. So just contact him. He's on Instagram. They showed you his page, and that's KEVF.KARDS. He's a real nice person. Easy to talk to.
Yeah. I've seen his stuff.
Tell him that Denny's Cards and FD sent you.
Yeah, tell him. Yeah, FD's use his discount code.
Yeah, use
FD.
my discount code.
Yeah.
Rolling with FD.
Rolling with, yeah, exactly.
Big John, who's your recipe store we talked about?
Yeah, we talked about that. Oh man.
So tell me, how many podcasts do you do a week?
How many podcasts?
Yeah, you were saying you do a lot of podcasts.
Oh, I mean, I'm 5 weeks into the podcast, and I'm at episode 17. So
you doing 3 a week? Go ahead, bro.
Well, no. So here's the thing: like my guest episodes, kind of like this one, where we're almost at an hour and a half. They go long, and I cut them up. So, I have like if I have an hour or hour and a half of content, I'll break it up into 30 minutes or 45 minutes into like part 1 and a part 2. And then the whole reason for doing this, card diary, it's a play on the word or the title, The Rum Diary by Hunter S. Thompson. And the reason I use Hunter S. Thompson is like he would embed himself in like, different groups to kind of see how the other side lives. So he did that with the Hells Angels. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just trying to experiment and trying to figure out how the other side lives and put on other people's shoes. So I'll put out these chapter episodes where it's like literally me just monologuing, and I'll have like talking points, or like some of it's like scripted where I'm just trying to get my thoughts out. And so I'm doing that. Then I'm doing these guest episodes, and I've had some amazing guests who agreed to come on. And so my first chapters were about buying, trading, and selling, which I call BTS, because that's like the biggest rocks in the hobby. That's the main thing we all, that's the foundation of the hobby: buying, trading, and selling. So it took me, a while to get through the guests for that, because there's just so many things to talk about with those aspects. And then now I'm talking about social media and creating content. I just had yesterday, I had Dr. Collectible on the pod, and we had a fantastic time talking. We almost went 2 hours, where I probably have to break it up into 3 or even 4 parts, because it's just so long. And he's an
easy person to talk to.
Oh my gosh, fantastic. You're easy to talk to. He's easy to talk to. Like I'm so thrilled to be able to talk with everyone in the hobby who's willing to have me, talk with them. And it's just been fantastic. Like this is just so awesome, just being on the show. Like it really is. So I do, I'll pump out like 2 to 3 episodes a week. For now, National's gonna really, that's like the big thing on everyone's calendar. And then I want to just keep rolling, just like FD. I want to be FD when I grow up.
So what's up with the National? What are some of your goals when you're there? What do you want? I know you want to talk to people and get to know more folks, but is there anything from a car perspective? You say you might be looking for some stuff. What are you looking for?
Man, you know what? Yeah, sure. Let's go there. My main goal, again, is not to spend all my money on that first day and like just be walking around like trying to talk to my wife. Hey, I did something wrong, or like, hey, because I think it's important. Like I don't want to, like I say this too. Like I think that financial cheating is like actual cheating. That's the main thing that leads to separations and divorces. It's money and infidelity, right? And financial infidelity is definitely a part. So When it comes to my plans for the national is to buy up one of, or if I can more, like I'll bring some cards maybe for trade value, but um, 3 of the 5 cards that I want on my list, because I don't want to go through every single one, but I mean, the 86 Fleer, that's more than I can go for right now, especially at a grade that I want. But, I would love to get a hot numbers of any player, but like specifically if it could be Jordan, that'd be great. The lenticular, effects of that card is very 90s, and I love that idea. Um, I would love to get a Jeremy Lin on card auto in a Knicks uniform. So not his Golden State Warriors, not his Brooklyn Nets, Houston Rockets, Atlanta Hawks. I want a New York Knicks Jeremy Lin, but an on card auto. I actually have a sticker auto of his coming along my way. But yeah, I'll just throw it out there into the universe to say I'm looking for those 2 cards. I would also love to have my first PMG of like the worst player, because we all know that even the cheapest PMGs and the worst grades are really expensive. So
Yes.
just that's just like, it just screams 90s to me. So I chase after my childhood. I chase after nostalgia. So those are the type of cards that I go for. And of course, Lin, that's not nostalgia, but I mean, it is nostalgia from the time of Linsanity. I remember going to one of the games. It was the game that it came through in DC. I was actually at that game with a friend, and I was like in the nosebleeds, and it was the loudest that I think at that time it wasn't called Capital One Arena. I think it was Verizon Center, but it was the loudest I've heard that arena. I mean, it was electric being there. He was
Well,
going
I'm
to get
looking on eBay right now. I actually
yeah.
find one of him in a Knicks uniform. It's very
On
dope.
card?
No, yeah, on card.
Oh, well,
I don't see. No, I'm saying I don't see anything in a Knicks uniform.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a thing. Yeah, and I don't even know if they're.
I'll look out for that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, again, everyone says any card you can dream up of and think of will be at the national. So I'm looking for those type of cards. I know some people love the totally certified like blues and golds. They look so shiny and nice. I mean, that's the ultimate when it comes to shiny and nice, because they're almost, in my opinion, they might even be better PMGs because they're super shiny, and the red PMGs are just really, a lot of chipping, and not as perhaps like well crafted of a card.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to go for cards like those for sure. But really it's to plant the seeds and make some new relationships and water some new seeds with folks, but then also for the friendships that I have in the hobby is to really in a way water those plants some more and deepen those roots, and like really get to meet people that I've been talking to and having on my podcast, and just DMing for a long time, just finally meeting y'all in person. Like, I'm just so excited about that.
That's very good. My goals are to really talk and try to meet as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Produce some content from that. It'd probably be some mini interviews going out.
Yeah.
And then trying to understand what are people seeing in the hobby all across the nation.
Mhm.
Like asking people a lot of questions and seeing what price points look like. There'd be a lot of recording of that. Just I like to understand what's happening in a market from people that are in the market. So when we talk about folks setting up, I know they set up at different places. If they do, if they don't, I'll get that. I'll find that out, and then I want to see what are our prices looking like. Are prices being reduced by some people? Do some people still have old pricing out? Why? What kind of cards are they selling? That's what I'll be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want to get a pulse of the hobby. It's almost like a snapshot that weekend. If that's a Super Bowl of collecting cards, I mean, you want to really get a sense of like what's going on that weekend. No, it's absolutely. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. I really am. And it'll be my first time in Chicago. I hear that it's the best summer city in America, and I do have lodging, so I'm not going to ask you if you got a sofa for me or anything like that. But how far are you from Rosemont? Oh no! Oh my God! No, where you grew up? I'm so sorry. You're traveling. You live in LA.
And that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be staying in the house I grew up in.
Yeah. Oh, you are. Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to be like 25 minutes away.
That's so awesome. That is so cool.
I've been talking to some people about trying to see a Cubs game or something. I gotta check some
Dude,
schedule.
count me in.
Is anybody there? I'll let you know about it.
Count
Is
me
anybody
in.
playing during that time?
Absolutely.
Let me do that tonight. Let me check that out tonight.
That would be so dope. Absolutely.
So, are any of your sons gravitating to collecting something?
Yeah, no, my older one is all like we watched the King of Collectibles together. Like the whole family did, but the thing is, like my wife, she was like, on her phone, which I totally understand and respect. She's so supportive of me being in the hobby, but she's not like a collector. And I love seeing these collector couples. Like shout out to like Reckless Cards. I think that they're awesome folks, and it's like really cool that they do that. But when Madonna or Britney Spears or something that had to do with music came on, or like was it Jimi Hendrix, she would kind of perk up and kind of like go, oh, what's that about? My younger son, he's more into Pokemon, so he liked the Pokemon aspects. And then my older son, he really is getting, he like I coach both of them in basketball, youth basketball, and he's really gravitated towards the Celtics, even though we live in the DC area. Like I have my shout out to homage or homage, I forget how to say it, but I have a Washington Wizards Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt here, and like I want us to root for the local teams, right? The Commanders, the Capitals, the Nationals, and the Wizards. But he just somehow like really started liking Larry Bird and by extension Jason Tatum. So man, whenever I find Bird cards or Tatum cards, like I'll just pick him up for his PC, and I love talking about the cards with him, and like we read the backs of the cards, and I try to tell him like the importance of like all the things that I grew up with, like reading stats, reading comprehension, projection, what you think someone's going to do based on past performances, and like trajectories of careers. And man, like some of these Larry Bird remix or not remix but like highlight videos, man, it's so funny because here you got like grainy 80s video with like just really tough music, like nothing with curse words, but I'm just saying like really like modern beats, and I'm just like, man, I love this too. It's great.
Yeah. You ever watch Come Fly With Me with Michael Jordan?
No, I don't think I have. What
You should watch the movie. You should watch the movie Come Fly With Me. It's about Jordan's career. I think you would enjoy that.
So it is a documentary?
Yeah, it's like a documentary. Yep.
Okay.
You ever watch Hoop Dreams?
Yes, love that. Hoop Dreams, Basketball Diaries. More recently, of course, The Last Dance.
Yeah, I could watch that over and over again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You want to know about that 5-5 and how I got together, and what camp they went to, and what other kids were at that camp, and
again, the narrative with the Fab Five back in that day against the complete opposite from the other side of town type of the clean shaven, the white Duke players versus the swagger of the Michigan teams. I mean, my wife, she's from the Michigan area, so she definitely rooted for the Wolverines. But man, no, absolutely.
Yeah, those are great memories.
Oh my gosh.
So what do you think about Victor Wembanyama?
We're getting to that. Yeah, I remember we said we were going to talk about that. I actually posted this on Threads recently about how people are comparing him to Bol, and I'm like, look, I get it. Tall, lanky, like really skinny, may not be ready for the rigors of the NBA, but we look at people and we think we know how they might play because of the way they look and past players who look like them. But what we can't see is someone's their mind, their mindset, their mentality. And I think that again, in America, we do a lot of this like maligning or making fun of French people for being soft. But you talk about one of the toughest point guards, Tony Parker. I mean, he was French and he was fearless. You talk about these other French players who came into the league and were just really tough, had tough mindsets and were really good players, Boris Diaw. And he's going to have a system around him, and he's going to have these mentors. We've already seen the picture with him and, Robinson and Duncan. And you don't think that they're going to, help guide him along the path in the NBA? Like, you would be joking. So to me, I think he's set up for success. I know there's a lot of hype, so there's going to be a lot of anti-hype. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to knock him down. I get that. People are going to be trying to dunk on him and trying to put him on posters like left and right. But straight up, I think that's going to, like, I think it's good for him to fail early on so that he can grow and develop. But he's going to bulk up. Giannis was super skinny when he came in. He bulked up. Like, to compare him to Bol Bol, just two totally different scenarios and two totally different people. And Bol Bol was the son of Manute, right? I mean, he should have been set up for success, but we all know you can't choose who gets to draft you, and it's a big difference being drafted. I forget, was Bol Bol like the Magic or whatever, like, Taco Fall by the Celtics. Well, that's a good organization, but you can't choose who you're drafted by. So I'm not like going out. I'm not going to own any Victor cards because they're going to be too expensive for me. I will just admit that, and I'm not like a huge fan of his. But I also don't see all this negativity and the hate going towards him. I think it's all because he is so hyped. So I'll kind of be like in the middle. Like, I'll root for him. I hope he does well. I don't think he's going to be Bol Bol. I also don't think he's going to be like Kevin Durant. But I think he's definitely going to be, like a perennial all-star. I think he's going to be really good on the defensive end. Like, people who get dunked on, like Rudy Gobert, he got dunked on so much, but we think he's a great defender, right? So,
Yes.
so long as he's always there, I think that's good. So, those are my thoughts on him. How about you?
I think you can't be that tall and that coordinated and not get it done.
Yeah.
I just keep it simple. And when guys first come out, and when young ladies first come out, just give those people time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any one of us showed up to our first job. How old were you when you first started working?
I mean, I worked at McDonald's as a teenager. I remember that was a hard time.
My first job, I was 16.
Yeah, 16.
At a family-run grocery store.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody showed up then and was like, man, look at FD. Look at FD. Look how he's wrapping tomatoes. Man, I don't know about his rap game. What does his rap game look like? Man,
What is a rap game? Oh,
look, he chose a single broom instead of a push broom. Look at FD. What is FD doing?
What's he doing? Oh, man.
Come on, man. Look how he's rotating the fruit. What is it? Just give the person some time. Let them have some game, some experience. Let them get dunked on. Let them dunk on some people. Let them pull up for a three at the right time. Let them understand how much time is on the clock. Who are their other teammates? Just give them some time.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to jump out there and be like, man, that dude's horrible. She's horrible. Just give them time.
Absolutely.
But who is horrible, we cheer for.
I mean,
I
think that's just
about.
It's the classic, as Americans, we love the underdogs, right? We love going after the people who have no chance, the Rudies of the world. And it's just like, man, like, I think, there are some people who are just out there on the internet who, if you are set up for success or if you are better than them or that you're hyped up, they just want to knock you down a couple of pegs.
But just think about this, though. You got a guy like Steph Curry. No D1 offer.
Mm-hmm.
Undersized.
Mm-hmm.
Destroying people with the jump shot.
Yep.
And even today, people won't give him his props.
Yep.
Oh, he's okay. Oh, he got saved by KD. Oh, he won without KD several times. Oh, well, Clay saved him. Oh, he won as a 6'2" guard with no top 75 players. Oh, well, he got lucky. Draymond's a great point forward. Oh, then other people will say, man, Draymond's trash. Draymond's not a good player. Man, Steve Kerr is overrated. I mean, which one is it?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, the people who say that, they don't have Steph Curry on their team, right? I mean, it's like they would kill to have Steph Curry on their team. The Knicks, they passed on him twice, or the Timberwolves. Yeah, the Timberwolves passed on him twice, and you talk about these franchises who would give an arm and a leg to have him. Like, absolutely, he is the best shooter ever in the NBA. Like, I mean, talk about YouTube highlights that my son and I love to watch, man. Curry highlights just like nonstop. It's just amazing.
So in that draft, Steph is drafted 7th.
Yep.
Minnesota got Johnny Flynn.
Johnny Flynn, Ricky Rubio. Yep. Amazing.
Johnny Flynn,
Hall of
Ricky Rubio
Famers.
had 2 picks and just still said, you know what?
Nah, he's too
we're
small.
good.
Davidson,
Davidson. Who was he playing against? So what he went deep into the tournament. Who was he really playing against?
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
But hey, you know this as a as a huge Warriors fan, back in that time when he was a rookie and first year, second year, 2 things. One, he had those ankle injuries, right?
Mhm.
And we weren't sure what was going to happen with him. And 2, him versus Monte Ellis was a real debate. It really was early on.
It was. It kind of reminds me of someone else right now, but I know a player right now that's had some injuries. People question him. He's signed to a team that has another center, and some people say that center's better. But we shall see.
All right, you got to give me conference or division or something. I really want to know this, but I want to guess it.
Eastern Conference
center.
Very young team.
Man, someone's watching this right now on YouTube and just screaming the name and all that. I mean, young center, Eastern Conference.
Yep, 2020 draft.
Not 2020, 2020, 21.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man, I'm gonna get skewered.
Well,
I was thinking like maybe like the whole like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Again, that's probably not it.
No, that's not it. But that's close. But this kid got drafted out of Memphis.
Wiseman.
Yeah,
Wiseman. Oh, yeah. Okay. Totally. I have so many cards of him like in Golden State gear. Yes, he got traded to the Pistons and all that. But man, watch out.
They have Jalen Duren. Some people are saying Jalen Duren.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. No, absolutely. Hey, good problem to have. I mean, they got a good young team. I'm a buyer. I mean, again, like I've picked up in the offseason the currently rehabilitating injured Cade Cunningham as a, what's the play or, whatever you want to say. Like I am scooping.
I know some people that's making Cade plays right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my K plays are not RPAs and huge, like exquisite, flawless patches cards. It's more of like between like the $75 to $150 cards. But I'm waiting. I'm, it's not someone that I am looking to collect in PC, but it's one of the things where I'm like, if I feel like there's a dip or there's a market, not incorrect market, but like, there's a way to be able to get him now and just sell him later, like in the season when he shows what he can do, because he can play. That dude can play. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'll hold on to that.
Yeah, he's a very big point guard. He has a lot of options to distribute to.
Oh yeah.
Has a jump shot. I'm gonna watch more Cade this year than I've ever watched before.
Oh, absolutely.
I understand exactly what he's bringing to the table. People are very hyped about him.
League pass team, straight up. They are, for me, top 5 league pass team, I think, right now.
Well, Detroit has a lot of promise. We'll see. I think the NBA is at this precipice where the league is changing a little bit. You're going to have some teams that are going to over excel. You're going to have some teams that's going to hit a wall, just like Utah did last year. People forget Utah was a top 3 seed
in
the Western Conference to begin the season. And then the bottom fell out of that thing.
Right.
Just like the Pelicans. I mean, they went the way of Zion. Zion was gone. Pelicans were gone.
No, absolutely. Well, is this a perfect time for us to talk about the in-season tournament?
Yeah, what do you think of that thing?
Man, I know there's
saying, FD, what is this?
Well, okay, so I saw this one clip where Richard Jefferson is trying to explain it, and when this man talks, I mean, I love Richard Jefferson. I think I loved him as a player and as a commentator and like a talking head. Just really funny dude. But man, when it took more than like 45 seconds to explain the concept, and he's doing it with like talking points and scripts and like like all these fancy graphics, and they're doing their absolute best to try to explain it. Is it easy to digest and to absorb? No, but I think it's going to be fun, and that's what it's all about. Like I think that there's definitely some potential for this to be something that people adopt later on, but I know that a lot of people are hating on it. They're like, the trophy looks trash, and like the this whole thing isn't going to work out. But innovation, like, I'm sure people back when the 3-point line came out were like, oh man, this thing will never work, and this is stupid. This is going to mess up all the scoring records, and this is the most worst thing for the NBA, right? And then it's like now, people live and die by the 3, and we all love it. So, again, kind of like with us talking about the young kids, like give them a chance. I say let's give it a chance. Let's see how it works out. If we keep poo-pooing on innovators, again, even like with like the card industry, if we keep hating on innovation by these card companies and we're like, oh, Panini sucks because they did this time or that time. Like, I know it's easy to hate on Panini and it's going to be easy to hate on Topps and Fanatics, but I just say let's give them a chance. Let's see how it is first before we make these absolute statements, to harken back to what we were talking about earlier today. Like, let's give them a chance before we start skewering people.
Well, to me, it's definitely a marketing program to make people interested in the season before you get to playoffs and around the holidays. So they asked Steph Curry the other day what he thought about it, and he said just that it's great to show and get interest gained into the league, but players have to find a way to navigate their way through it, and that's gonna be what it is. You'll have some players that's probably like, nah, I'm not about to go gung ho in the 30th or the 20th game of the season because we're talking about a tournament. And then, when you say tournament, I'm thinking you got tourney MVPs, there's going to be some awards given out.
Mm-hmm.
What would those awards mean in the long term? So if I got tourney MVP, but I never win a ring, who cares? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
We'll see over time. Somebody may rack up several tourney MVPs and several finals MVPs and regular season MVP. I mean, we'll see.
Man, watch how like it's gonna be like D'Angelo Russell, who's gonna be like the tourney MVP. That man is just gonna be like shooting like every day. And man, I love the energy. I love the idea of D'Angelo Russell. Like just that mentality. It's got to be wild, man. I mean, that dude straight up, there are some players, I mean, every player says this, they all think that they're the best player in the world, and I guess you have to feel like that.
Yeah, you have to be like that to get there.
But,
and they were wherever they came from, they were the best player,
right?
So I tell this story sometimes. I'm in business school, right?
Okay.
And we had a guy in school that was on the bench as a backup when the 5-5 was at Michigan. And so we go to the rec center one day, and me, myself, another guy that played high school, 2 guys that played high school basketball were pretty decent, and another guy, we run 5-on-5 against some engineering students, right? And this gentleman who went to Michigan was Michael Jordan that day. That's why when you run into somebody and they like, yeah, I played a little college ball. Watch out. This guy was shooting threes, taking people off the dribble, a little hesitation in midcourt, posting up folks, dropping nothing but net on the turnaround, going baseline with 2 hands, yelling, as he's dunking. Man, this dude, I was like, this guy, I just want to run the court as hard as I could and clean boards for him.
Yeah.
Clean boards for him.
Mm-hmm.
He got me one time. I'm down to come running. I'm down the court. He hits me with the ball. I hit him with a drop pass. He dunked. But watch out who you run into, because there's some people out here with mad skills.
Oh my god,
who are the best wherever they came from.
Yeah,
it just didn't work going to that next level, to the NBA or whatever that level that was. I played in college with some guys playing football who were great wherever they came from. Got to school, got humbled.
Yeah.
Not the same. And we ain't doing the same stuff up in here. I used to remind people, where you from? They say Cedar Rapids, Iowa. This ain't Cedar Rapids, Iowa no more, man. We ain't doing that up in here. You got to learn. Yeah, now you got better athletes on the field right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's how it is. But that's a true story. This guy was destroying engineering students.
One of my favorite things that I've seen, like just man on the street type of things is, people were always clowning on, the White Mamba, Brian Scalabrine, right? They're like, oh man, how did this guy make so much money in the NBA, or how do you have such a long career? And this dude is like, all right, you want to play me 1-on-1? And then they would play him like, these people off the street, or they'll challenge him. And he is just smoking people. And I'm just like, yeah, like y'all want to hate on the White Mamba, but this dude was the best. He was probably the district player of the year, when he came out and all this stuff. Like, I mean, it's like, it's a pyramid, it's a funnel, right? I mean, you are literally the best of the best. And I mean, you think about every year there's 60 people who come into the NBA, into the league, and they're fighting for jobs, right? I mean, they're fighting
I've heard
against
the other day.
Yeah.
There are only 5,200 so people that have ever played in the NBA. Think about that number.
That's wild.
So somebody's somewhere balling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Somebody's somewhere balling. So during the playoffs, Kevon Looney was, doing his thing for the Golden State Warriors. People were like, FD, Kevon Looney's not that good. So if you Google, if you YouTube, Kevon Looney in high school, and just kick back and watch that.
Yeah,
Looney is dominant. I mean, he's hitting threes. He's taking people off the dribble. He's posting up. He's doing anything and everything he wants to do on the court. And this is before he got to UCLA. So people fail to realize when you go to the league, when you go to the NBA, NFL, in these places, you find out what you're good at, what can you bring to the table, and that's what you do. If you have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on the court, Looney, you're not shooting threes anymore, bro. And Looney knows that. So he's down doing the dirty work to make sure these guys shine.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he shines.
Right.
So.
No, I liken Kevon Looney a lot. Yeah, I liken him a lot to like the game of like, say, like a Andrew Bynum. Kind of like he could do things, but when you got Kobe on the team, get clean, like you said, for your Michael Jordan buddy who was playing lights out that night, like you just go clean the board.
We were feeding that dude lights out, bro. And he was taking folks a time. That was and I'm not saying every engineering student is not athletically inclined. I am not saying that, people. But there were some engineering students that all they could catch you with was an elbow. There was some elbows received that day. There was some triple doubles on the elbow game. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, one guy walked away with a very plump lip.
Ooh. Yeah. That's when you have fun out there. Absolutely, man. I miss playing pickup ball. Like I'm now 40 and like I want to get in, playing shape or whatever. But like, again, I never played more than intramurals. I was never a great shooter. I was always just like dirty work. And like, one of my favorite like players growing up was like Dennis Rodman. Very complicated nowadays because of everything that he's done with like North Korea and all that. But just really again, I was my basketball formative days was playing hoops outside in New York City, and just I didn't have great handles or great shooting. I'm probably a better shooter now than I ever was in my life, just because I finally started watching YouTube videos with my kids, and I'm like, oh, you gotta tuck that elbow. I've been like just shooting like crazy. But now I'm like teaching the kids how to play better basketball, and I'm like, man, I wish I had this as a kid. I was just like, I never played like I never had like a youth basketball coach. I was just out there playing pickup, playing 21, doing all that nonsense. And so I gotta say straight up, like, I love just being out there, man. You've never met these people in your life. You play pickup, and then you just start gelling. You're just like, backdoor cuts and passing, and it's like you guys have been playing forever, and I love that feeling.
Yeah, you're assessing someone's talent, what they do well. People start talking on the court, and then before you know it, you're like Magic Johnson and Kareem.
Oh man.
Nate,
absolutely.
You got Nate in the house. Nate says,
Nate,
what's up, y'all?
Nathan
What's up,
Duran,
Nate?
what is up?
What's up? What's going down? Utah in the house. So, Denny, what part of the country are you in?
So I'm in the DC area. I mean, I say that generally because it's easy, because people know where Washington, DC is. But specifically, I'm in Northern Virginia, which is like a suburb of DC. I'm like 10, 15 minutes away from like the nation's capital and all that. But like I'm in Northern Virginia, in Alexandria, Virginia. And
that's where you live?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been to Hopewell, Virginia. I've been to Alexandria, Virginia. I've been to Richmond.
Yeah, and you've been to Virginia Beach, like we were talking
Yeah,
earlier.
Virginia Beach.
No, I mean everyone's been through the DC area because everyone went through middle school and they all had their class trip in the Washington DC area. But no, if you're out here, man, we'll definitely have to connect and have a great time. I'll take you some good Korean barbecue over here. But man, LA's got like the best Korean barbecue, like better than Korean barbecue. LA, I just got to get a shout out. Quarters, man. I said this in another podcast, but like Quarters is a Korean barbecue place in Koreatown in LA, and man, it is so good.
So you're saying I should go there? Is that what you're telling me?
I want to go there with you.
I gotta check this out. Okay.
Yeah, I want to go there with you and just like eat the amazing Korean barbecue over there. But no, Chicago, I'm excited. They got the steakhouses, and again, I've never been there, but I'm sure you'll give me some good recommendations.
Yeah.
I
Where
hear all.
Are you saying in Rosemont or downtown?
I'll be staying in an Airbnb about 15-20 minutes away. I don't know what the neighborhood or the area of the city is called. Okay. But I have a neighbor friend who is my best card friend. His name is the Rated Rabbi. Shout out Dave Spinrad. But he has an Airbnb, so I'm gonna stay there with him and some of his other card friends. So I know there's some I know there's some people who are like, don't I don't know. What is it? P. Ryan is like, you can't share a room in the National. Like you don't deserve to go to the National if you have to share a room.
Remember we talked about earlier, there are no absolutes, right?
I know, right? It's
you
crazy.
Go and enjoy yourself, man. There's gonna be a lot of people at the National sharing.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so excited for it. I really am. Get to finally meet the man, the myth, the legend, Rolling with FD, and just so many people I've gotten to meet on Instagram.
Yeah, you'll have a bunch of fun talking to people. Yeah. I'll probably walk up on you having a conversation with somebody. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, you're at the National. You can be walking, and especially now with social media and the presence of it, you'll see a bunch of folks.
Yeah.
And stay in contact. I've stayed in contact years ago with people that I was in the autograph line with.
Nice. So how many?
Go ahead.
What number National would this be for you then? Ooh.
I've never kept up. It has to be
that many.
At least 7 or 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. I grew up in Chicago, so I mean, we went.
Makes sense.
I used to go all the time. My family and my parents have been there.
Oh, that's
it has grown exponentially. Like this is going to be a very huge show.
Mm-hmm.
I understand more footage than even what I saw 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, very big. So.
But people have left the hobby. So again, I wasn't there last year and the year before and all that stuff. Like 2012 was my one and only time. But I mean, it will be interesting to see. Like I will be really interested to hear from veterans of the National, such as yourself. Did the demand outstrip the supply? Something like that. Like was it really big, but there's like less number of people? Then it could make it seem like it's smaller.
I believe you can get ready to say, "Excuse me." Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bumping into you. Oh, gotcha. Excuse me. I think it's going to be a lot of people moving around.
Okay.
A lot of connections. Like I said, now with more podcasts out, more people talking about different things, more internet activity.
Yeah.
More social media presence.
Yeah.
You got people connecting all over the place.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. Man.
That's what it's all about. And you say you're bringing your wife and your children, right?
I am going to go just myself.
Okay.
They have camps and they have, again, like, what could they come in the future? Sure. But
I was just going to say, it all depends on how long your day was going to be, because even like we're taking Junior, and I'm even trying to understand. Like G and I went 2 years ago. We were at the National both 2 days from 9 o'clock in the morning to at least past midnight.
Wow.
Ooh. So let's think about that's a lot on your children.
Yeah.
Like even with Junior, I'm trying to think about how does this logistically operate.
Yeah.
With him, do we go drop him off, come back? That might be something that we end up doing, because I can't ask him to be there for hours upon hours. Well, for me, time could just blow by and I'm good.
Gotcha.
I can move from show to trade night to get dinner. I'm straight.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, but that's going to be an experience that he's going to really cherish doing with you.
I think so.
That's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, I
Really?
want him to be there because my father was at the National years ago, and my mom was there. It'd be good for him to see and be able to talk about and experience. I want him to take a bunch of pictures of people. He sees you. Hey,
Yeah.
Dennis, can we get a picture? Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Take a lot of hands.
Yeah.
That's really what I want him to experience. I think that'll
Oh,
be fun.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think he'll really understand what it was like when I was growing up in Chicago, going to these shows, going to the Chicago Sun-Times show, and just experiencing that whole environment.
Yeah, man, isn't that what I
Mhm.
mean? You're connecting the older generation with your generation and the younger generation. Like you are the middle person. Like with again, like
Yeah, I think so.
like
think so.
that's great. You're the conduit. You're the catalyst. You're the ones
Well, our
who's going to be able
generation
to.
didn't. I mean, that's this stuff wasn't happening
No.
40 years ago. So our generation is
Yeah.
kind of the generation I believe, me personally, to teach and try to experience things with people and then tell them a little bit about what it was like back in the day, and then appreciate what's coming forward. We talked about technology and different changes and fanatics coming in and all that. That brings this conversation full circle. So Beverly, what am I funny? How am I funny? You gotta let me know before we get off here. What am I
Yeah.
doing?
Come on,
Let's
Beverly,
crack
talk to us.
Beverly Riggins up. What's going on?
Am I funny?
Yeah, is Denny Cards?
Yeah. Am I here to amuse you?
Can you handle the truth?
Yeah.
Man, it's been great having you on, though, man.
Thank you so much. This is so awesome. I mean, we are at the 2-hour mark, but I gotta say, like, seriously, like the time just flown by. This is so much fun. This is like
I thought
you
it
and
would
me.
be like that. I thought just from seeing your stuff on your page.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it would be like this. Like I tell people all the time, I let the conversation flow. And then,
Mhm.
I sent you some questions. There's some things I like to get to.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
think we hit 90% of it.
Oh my
But then I
gosh.
like to have a conversation where we can go different ways and not be so rigid. I
Mhm.
know there are podcasts that have a certain kind of structure.
Oh yes, yes.
But I like to have conversations. Nothing here has been like you didn't know exactly what we're going to talk about. Neither did I. Nothing is scripted.
Nope.
And it's the same way when we shoot content.
Yeah.
We don't script probably 95% of what we do.
Mhm.
We just let it happen. A lot of times I have reactions to things in sports is just what comes to my mind initially. What am I thinking of when I heard about Pat Fitzgerald? It's like you on with me. I'm like, what is this? This dude hazing people? What are we doing? So yeah, that's my first. Sometimes it's my first kind of. But I've met people who script out every piece of content.
Mm.
Everything they're going to say is on a piece of paper, time stamped. Then I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying
No,
we all have a different methodology of how we go about doing things.
Right.
I'm more of a conversation with a purpose and somewhat of a framework kind of individual.
Oh, absolutely. You got to do what works for you. And, I got to say, as someone who's done both, like, I see the merits in both styles. But I also know that life isn't scripted. Like there's absolutely nothing about life like you. Sometimes, I mean, we want to plan, we want to be proactive. I try to be as proactive as possible, but how much of life is reacting to things? You don't know when you're going to get a call from someone about something that happened in your, child's school, or something that happens at work, or something that happens in your family. Like, it's all reaction. So, I love this conversation. This was so like free flowing, and for whoever's watching this and listening this far, like, bless you and thank you. Like, I hope you had some fun along the way, because that's what I'm about. That's what FD. I love your content. I love what you do. This is so much fun. I mean, then I gotta play host. Then you're gonna be in the hot seat with the guest stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my
gosh,
gosh,
the
Beverly.
next time you're on here, you can ask me any question that comes to mind, anything that goes on. We can have a conversation about it. But Beverly came back and said, "Denny, stop. You keep it 100."
Thank you.
100 Denny. That's what you can call him.
Yeah, there you
100 Denny. Yeah, but thank you for being here. This has been great. This podcast will be on all outlets tomorrow. We'll have it up early. So if you missed it tonight, you can definitely catch up with Denny Cards. And Denny, before you get out of here, let everybody know where to contact you at, how to stay up with you, and what you're doing.
Man, Denny underscore cards on Instagram. That's my main thing right now. I love my Instagram card fam. By extension, Threads is where I'm trying to do some more fun things too. I do have like these accounts on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. They're just not. I don't really, plant. I don't really water those plants and those seeds as much as I do, because just having one Instagram account, social media presence is hard enough. But I have a podcast, The Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. Look for it for wherever you get your podcasts. Rolling with FD will be a future guest for sure. And I am just so thrilled to just continue to have fun in the hobby. And hopefully that's what people get from my content, is that, that they see me having fun and hope it brings a smile to some people's faces.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. I always say this: you can spend your time anywhere.
Yeah.
But you decided on Monday night to come roll with Denny and FD, and we try to have as much fun, talk about things. Hopefully, you leave with something that sparks some thought. I think that's always my goal, to have some kind of conduit of free thinking after you hear two people talking about something that they are passionate about, and it's something that their family is involved in or close to, which is also important. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Denny Cards.
Thank you. Are you going to ask me who I'm rolling with? I was waiting for that.
Oh, okay. Well, let me not be rude. Denny Cards, who are you rolling with?
Well, in the words of Tina Turner, keep rolling, rolling, rolling with FD. Dun 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 dun.
I'd be like Ike over there playing the bass. Boom, boom,
Yes.
boom, 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 boom. Thank you, brother.
Man. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right. You have a good night, man.
You too. Take
Washington,
care.
D.C. in the house, people.